And now I want to turn the program over to two of my favorite compliance supervisors.
Yes.
They also happen to be my only compliance supervisor, but aside from that, they're still my favorites. So I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Greg Butler and Jami Mensah to talk to you all from the compliance section.
But before you hand it over, can you forgive me? What do you do for them? If you mind.
I'm the MC. They just say bring me up here. You know. No, I'm kidding. I'm the chief administrative officer. So the civil rights and fair practices team we're all part of the same team.
So I promise not to stand in the way of you guys getting contracts. Jami and I are going to do essentially a little overview of the CRFP office, our structure, and the programs that we monitor and enforce. Again, we're going to try to save the questions to question and answers and networking portion. Fair enough?
Yes.
Enough. Doing business with, can you hear me okay?
It's not on, but I can hear you.
Well, maybe you got to get closer to it. Yeah, you just got to
Yeah.
bring it down.
How's that?
That's good.
Better.
There.
Doing business with the Maryland Transportation Authority, Division of Civil Rights and Fair Practices. Civil Rights and Fair Practices. So overview of our office and the things that we monitor and govern and enforce include the MDE, VSBE, DBE, SBR programs. We set the program goals. We have governing policies and procedures and regulations that we help to enforce and interpretate for our primes and subcontractors. We have the procurement review group, which is something new to me, where we establish the goals for our contracts. We oversee bid and award, waiver requests, kickoff meetings, compliance and enforcement of our MDE program, prompt payment enforcement, modification of our contracts. We receive MBE, DBE contractor complaints, and now we have a new PRISM's compliance systems that we're introducing that some of you may have received emails on.
What's PRISM an acronym for?
I think it's an acronym.
It's not an accident.
It's just the name of their system. But we're going to save questions and answers to
My apologies.
later. Okay. The MBE, VSBE, DBE program objectives include ensure non-discrimination in the award and administration of contracts, create a level playing field in which MBEs, VSBE, DBEs can compete fairly, monitor, track, and report participation, compliance, and payments, gross receipts for contract goals, agency overall goals, assist our MBEs, DBEs, VSBEs, SBRs with opportunities on MDTA contracts, and then attempt to meet our goals. Again, our following programs include the MBE program, which is a state-funded contract, and we have a state goal of 29% on all state-funded contracts. The Veteran-Owned Small Business Enterprise, VSBE, there's a state goal set at 1%, soon to increase to 3%. So veteran-owned businesses in Maryland need to register with eMaryland Marketplace. This is important. You can't just register with VetBiz anymore. You must be registered on eMaryland Marketplace. Our Small Business Reserve Program, there's a state goal of 15%. And again, 10/1/2024, the new goal will be 20% for SBR. And of course, there's the DBE program, which is the federally funded program. there's a hyperlink there. It'll be part of the handout that we give out for all our program guidelines, the MDE, DBE program guidelines. We're governed by COMAR, which is the Code of Maryland Regulations. We're governed by the Code of Federal Regulations, CFR 49, Part 26. And we also report to the Governor's Office of Small Minority Women Business Affairs, GOSPA. So I'll talk briefly about our procurement review group. Our PRG group, or procurement review group, consists of our office, CRFT, procurement, engineering, our attorney general, IT, construction, operations, and our end user project managers. CRFP reviews engineers' estimates and scope of work. The scope of work is based on next codes relevant to the contract that we're going to put out. Subcontract categories set on basis for establishing sub-goals. So our PRG establishes our sub-goals for all our contracts. So we recommend an overall contract goal, MBE sub-goals. We recommend VSBE sub-goals. So before our contracts hit the street, they have been thoroughly vetted to ascertain VSBE, MBE subcontractor participation. Our procurement review group, we search for our MBE, DBE firms on the MDOT directory of certified firms. The VSBE firms are searched on EMA. All MDOT certified MBE, DBE firms must be certified with the specific NAICS codes. Again, CRFP, procurement, construction, engineering, IT, operations, and our AG office meet to recommend project-specific goals. Here you have an example of some of our contract types and the recommended goals after going through PRG. So again, this presentation, I don't know if you can see that from where you are. This presentation is available. You can go into it a little bit further, but I guess the most important thing is that MBEs, DBEs must be certified with MDOT. VSBEs must be registered with EMA. Primes, MBEs, DBEs must be in good standing with the State Department of Assessment and Taxation. And that's the front page of the MDOT MDE directory, where you can search for firms and ensure that you're certified. If not, you have to contact MDOT and the certification unit and go through that process. And a little bit before contract is awarded, there's pre-bid meetings that are held. This is important as well. That's where we advertise the contract, we talk about it, we answer questions as to what the goals are on the contract and the terms of the contract. A little further, we talk about good faith efforts. We talk about the project manager gets to explain the scope of the work, the location, security issues, etc. We talk about the opportunities for potential prime subcontractors to ask questions and clarify scope of work. Again, this is a networking opportunity for small and minority businesses as well. At bid and award, Division of Procurement sends the MBE, VSBE, DBE bid documents to our office, CRFP. We determined if the contract goal was met. CRFP verifies the certification of the firms, MBE, DBE firms. The selected firms must have current MDOT certification, and VSBs must be certified at EMA at time of bid. CRFP will approve or deny the MBE, VSBE, DBE bid documents. Finally, we'll talk a little bit about waiver requests. What is a waiver request? This is where the prime contractor is requesting to achieve partial goal set for a contract. Let's say if there's a 29% goal, the prime is requesting to maybe only reach 20% of the goal. If the waiver is requested, prime must submit good faith effort documentation. Good faith effort documentation must be documented efforts made to reach MBE, DBE firms. CRFP reviews these documents and issue a response. I don't think, well, I won't speak to that.
Say it.
We do not, can I say?
We've never approved a waiver.
We never approve waivers.
Not in my
Okay.
20
That's a big deal.
years.
Thank you.
So we have a goal on the contract. We hire firms that meet those goals.
Thank you. All right, that's awesome.
There's just too many MDs out there.
So I'm going to end here and let Jami talk a little bit more about some of our processes and Jami Mensah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
So I'll start off with the pre-work and kickoff meetings. These are done to kick off any new construction, to just make everybody aware what they are required to do, payment information, subcontractor agreements, requirements, and enforcement and compliance. The next one is compliance enforcement. So at this point, we discuss contractual obligation between MDTA and the prime, compliance and enforcement at the project sites, commercially useful function based on the contractor approved NICS codes. To talk a little bit more about that is if you have a specific NICS code, you have to be performing your work within the NICS code and not outside. The next one is the subcontractor performance, prompt payment of subcontracts, and that should be done like 10 days after the prime gets paid and once their invoices are submitted. And the next one is the subcontractor agreement between the prime and the subs. To stick on that further, you have to make sure that you have an agreement between you and the prime. So the next slide is prompt payment. I'll skip that because Tia just talked about it. The next one is, I'll skip that too. I know this part talks about the sanctions, but I just want to mention one portion of this is the loss of certification. So while you're on a contract, it doesn't matter how long it is, you have to make sure you're actively certified and keep on top of that. Because if you lose certification, it could work against you and not for you. And it could be any MBE, VSBE, DBE, you just have to be sure and pay attention to that. The next one is revised schedule of participation.
Go back, sorry. Go
Oh,
back.
no.
Go back one.
There you go.
So this part talks about participating firms cannot work outside their approved NICS code. I mentioned that earlier when I talked about the CUF, where you have to make sure you're performing the job inside your NICS code and not doing something outside of that. Another one, prime must request for revision. So if there is something that changed with the workload, with the money distribution, there has to be a formal documentation sent to CRFP to do a modification. You can't just do it because it's going to work. It has to be formally documented. And any changes has to be approved before it can go through. The next one is complaints. So we're saying that you shouldn't ignore any issue, whether it's big or small. If it's going to affect the work in any way, it has to be properly documented and properly reported. You can just complain about it verbally, you could send an email, you could make a call, but it has to be sent through. And these are the different ways you could do it. You could do it through our office, you could do it through a hotline, you could do it through the OIG office or through GoSpot. And PRISM is about to go live. It's already live. We're just doing the background work to have it up and running. And that way we can have all our processes done through that system. And we are planning a vendor training soon where you will have all the information you need. And if you have any issues, you send your request to the help desk and it will be resolved timely. And unique things that we can buy, small procurements and credit card purchases. So we have category 1, which is 0 to 5,000. Category 2 is 5,000 to 15,000. And category 3 is 15,000 to 50,000. Can you see the list from here?
Yes.
So the next one is the roles and responsibility of the MPE, DBE, and VSBE programs. These programs are not just the responsibility of CRFP, it's the responsibility of you. Prime contractors, MPE, DBE, subcontractors are all involved in the pre-bid and pre-proposal meetings. You are involved in the project kickoff meetings. You play an important role in the line of communication. Do we do questions now or later? Questions? Yes.
So I took my notes here. So the first question I have is I saw that the SBR, are you guys enforcing that, or is that just, you guys just request, is that being enforced?
Yes, excuse me, the SBR is a small business reserve. And currently, we have to look at contracts, and if we send out emails to all the SBRs that are certified on Emma before we can really set a goal on it and see if you're interested. And you have to email them. So if you're an SBR and you're getting these emails, you need to respond if you're interested, if you can do the work. If we get 2 contractors, SBR, saying that they are interested, a goal doesn't get set for SBR designation. If we get 3 or more SBRs saying they're interested, they can perform the work, then that contract will go out through procurement as an SBR designated contract.
Got it.
When it goes out, when that solicitation goes out, if no bids are coming back from the SBR within like 15 minutes of the close, I believe it's 15 minutes of half an hour before the time limit, then that solicitation comes back. Procurement takes that SBR designation off and it goes out for anyone to bid on. So there are specific regulations that GOSBA has put on this SBR program. And I mean, right now that's what we're looking at. I mean, we do try to do credit card purchases and
That goes with my last question that I put in here, the credit card. So is that, the amounts that you have, is that minimal or is that yearly?
that's an annual, is 15, but that's really on designated contracts. And as of the 1st of October, it's going to the award of contracts, both designated and non-designated.
What does that mean?
So when we put a designation on a contract for SBR, because we've had 3 or more SBR firms saying they're interested, then that contract goes out specifically for SBR, no one else can bid on it. But within a half hour of those bids being due, if no SBR bids on it, procurement takes that off because no one is bidding. So you've got to be responsive to those emails. If you're an SBR, if you can do that work, spread the word.
Gotcha.
And if you're going to bid, bid on it.
So I guess I was confused. My second question was about the credit cards. There was
Yes.
the 3 tiers, right? I'm calling them
Yeah,
tiers.
there's for small procurements, but small procurement could be from an MBE.
Now, my question is that 5,000, 15,000, whatever it was, is that monthly or is that yearly, that amount?
That's just the type of procurement value.
Per contract.
Per contract?
Yes.
per purchase.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Ralph?
I didn't see any particular emphasis on the woman business enterprise. I didn't get
We,
goals for that.
Maryland doesn't have a woman enterprise, they're all considered minority businesses, whether you're a woman, African American, Asian. The Maryland MDOT certification unit does not, you can be certified as a woman, but like DC and Virginia, we do not have a designation as a women, WSB. It's MBE, which is everyone. But if you're familiar with the DC program and the Virginia program, they have WSB for the women minorities, but
Didn't the program in Maryland have women only in the past?
we do, but they're all under minority business. So if you're African American woman, Asian American woman, Native American woman,
They're all
Not,
Yeah.
it's not gender-based.
so, you know, whether you're a woman in one of those categories or not, you're considered a minority business enterprise. Now, when you look at the directory, you can see that they're certified in the next codes, how long, their cert number, and what their classification is. If they choose to be a African American women, or just African American, or just women, that's up to the owner.
one more. So is there second or third tier participation in these contracts?
Third tier, you know, a sub is a second tier. If a prime wants to have third tier subcontracting, so they would have a sub and then another sub under that sub, which
Would
would
you
be
guys
third
accept that as
tier.
an MBE supplier?
The prime has to ask for third tier at the time of bid. It's all in the MBE forms. Third tier
You don't-
subcontracting can only be approved at the time of bid.
Okay. And then my last question is, I know that the Board of Public Works has this green purchasing option now. Are you guys enforcing the climate goals that they have set aside for the state of Maryland? Are you guys enforcing that as well?
That would probably be a procurement situation, and we're not procurement
Got it.
here, so that would be a question, maybe for our procurement office.
So I'm from the procurement office at MDTA. Hi,
Hello, how you doing?
And we do pursue, we put it in all of our contracts that all of the green goals have to be met, whatever the requirement of that contract is.
Thank you, okay.
So, we follow the guidelines, as much as we possibly can.
Or do you enforce it though?
So, as procurement, we don't enforce.
Okay.
We are accepting bids and ensuring that all the bids and proposals are according to the specifications of the contract.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Jamie.